My name is Susan Wielechowski. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so if you hear a twang, that's it. Raised our children in New Jersey, down at the Jersey Shore, and I moved out here 8 years ago. I've been doing this for over 12 years. I have 8 now Alzheimer dementia homes. 7 of them, or 4 are in Prescott. We have Flagstaff, Cottonwood and Verde, and now we're going to Bullhead City. So I have tremendous people that are working. I have my husband and my 2 daughters that are on board, and I have Jabert in the back, and we have great caregivers. What I'm going to talk about today is the gems of Alzheimer's and dementia. Everybody's precious. Stones are precious. So the guru, and I don't know if you've heard of her, Teepa Snow, she has been with her own, it's called Positive Care Approach, and she has been doing Alzheimer's. She's a pioneer in the Alzheimer's dementia for over 20 years. Before Alzheimer's was known, which now there are 100 different types of Alzheimer's and dementia. Dementia is the main focus, and there are Alzheimer's is underneath it as one type of dementia. So there's over 100 different types of dementia. It's very hard to focus on, and for doctors to say what kind of dementia you have. Usually it is at the end of your life, if they end up doing autopsies and things of that. The only common denominator in all of dementia is where in your brain starts to die first. So if you look at your dementia, I gave you an umbrella. So dementia is the main umbrella, and underneath it you have Alzheimer's disease, which most people hear most frequently. And Alzheimer's, and it's a stigma, don't take it. They say usually you have behaviors with it. You're mean, you're aggressive, you roam, you wander. That's not everybody. It's just not everybody. Then you have the frontal, which is usually caused by an accident, or a lot of men we have who used to play football and the helmets weren't the greatest back then, or in service, or you've had bad car accidents. Sometimes that can be the frontal lobe. Vascular dementia is usually your heart. Your blood's not pumping great. You just have vascular dementia, and that usually affects your body more than it affects your mind. So your body will shut down. Your mind will come and go more frequent. You'll be there, and the next day or next week, you might not be understanding things so good. So that's another common one with cardiac, diabetic problems. You're not taking care of your diabetes the greatest, and your blood's not flowing as good, so that causes that. The other types that you're going to hear is infectious disease. That's if you end up catching certain diseases. Parkinson's is another one, and what is really rampant right now is the alcohol and drug. Alcohol, back in my day with my father and my parents, which both had it, post-time was a very big thing. Business was done at the bars or on the golf course or drinking, that kind of a thing. So that's what we're finding more and more, is the alcohol and the drugs. I don't know if everybody, they're saying there's 76 million of us baby boomers out there right now, and I'm at the tail end, but I don't know if they're counting in the fentanyl, the heroin, and all of the opioid drugs, people that are coming. We have one house, and the average age is 63. Nurses, lawyers, teachers have had an accident, got addicted to opioids or drugs, and now their brains are just not that functionable. We're all going to think that we have some type of dementia before you leave. because you're saying, well, I go into a room and I don't remember what I'm going in for. I do the exact same thing. It's there. You need to worry when you're picking up your car keys and you're calling it a carrot, or you're calling it a different name. You just don't know what that object is anymore. And we all are trying to pull words out. So don't be alarmed because you're talking. You're talking and you're not remembering what word you're trying to pull out. So I get everybody saying, oh my gosh, I think I have the beginning of it. Again, when you hit 90 and 95 or 89, I mean, your brain can only hold so much information, people, so there's going to be a harder time to pull it back out. What I'm going to describe is where people just really do not know what's what and what's going on. So in the Alzheimer's category, you do have, again, you can't say what they have. So doctors are just saying you have Alzheimer's. It's basically what they're saying. You have Alzheimer's. They can do certain kind of skilled levels. They'll give you a test. You'll sit there for 20 minutes. You'll have to draw a face of a clock. You'll have to count backwards from 100 on sevens. Believe me, I'd get to 93 and have nowhere to go after that. They would give you 4 words or 5 words at the beginning of your visit. And after your visit, you're supposed to recite those words back. Again, I would have it because it goes in and out, and if it doesn't concern me, I don't care. Names I was never good at. So don't get alarmed and don't get frustrated at that, and the doctor will know. When they ask you to draw a clock, your clock is going to be a circle and numbers are going to be just scattered throughout the page. So there's other ways of doing that. If you look at the GEM model, just what it shows on there, the beginning stages, which most families aren't even going to acknowledge because we're all growing old together, we can complete each other's sentences. We know we were on the same trip, so you can just say, yeah. You might forget you're going to the store and you take a wrong road. Again, it doesn't mean you have dementia. It's normal aging. It's all there. And we call those the sapphire. And they have a healthy brain. They're aging normally. And usually at that stage you can stay there. And it's just normal aging forgetfulness. Okay, again, there's a lot of things in our brain, and we can't remember all of it. And even with my kids now, I'll call them the wrong name. I did it since they were growing up, and you're yelling and screaming, and you're like, wait, you're the wrong kid. You know, you're trying to come up with the names. The next one is the diamond, and you're still clear, you're still sharp. You have some habits that you can't get out of. And you're expressing more of your dislikes. And again, I do the same thing. I wore this outfit yesterday. It's not dirty. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to continue to wear it for a week. That's when you're going to start to notice some things. Well, it's still clean. Why do I care? I didn't do anything. I got up, I sat, that's it. So the responding of the diamond is they want you to give them some space. They still want to do it themselves. They don't want anybody to give them directions because they want to remember how to complete the task. You're probably still not going to notice that there's something going on. It's still, you're thinking normal aging, he doesn't like to drive, we're losing a little bit of instructions, Now the emerald, the green, is knowing, they're starting to understand that they're forgetting things. So they're becoming more strong-willed. They want complete independence. If somebody does something for them, they want to do it. Don't tell me how to do it, I'm going to do it. If I don't like it, I'm going to do it my way. And that's pretty hard if you have a personality like mine, who's a type A personality. It's my way. I'm going to do it. You're entrepreneurial. You've raised a lot of kids. You've run your house in a specific way. This is how it is. I don't want somebody else coming in and telling me how to do it. So that's where you get the emerald. They are on edge. They're starting to get flustered inside. And with dementia and Alzheimer, what ends up happening is your brain is going 100 miles an hour. It just doesn't stop. You feel anxious. You feel like you just want to strangle somebody, and it's not that you want to, it's just how your brain is going. You're starting to eat foods that you never liked before. You're starting to eat food that's your thing. I'm going to eat. I don't really know if I'm full or not, but I'm going to eat. The other person is starting to watch. The loved one or the family, if they don't live with you, they're still not going to figure this out yet, because they're only talking to you maybe once a week, or they're visiting, and if you live out of town, the family is not going to catch on to this until you are probably a Ruby. The people who live with you are going to start to notice some problems with the emerald. They're going to start to see some flaws. They're going to start to see that if you go to if you travel, it's kind of harder to get in that hotel. It's kind of harder to get into the sink of staying there. It's kind of hard, the angst, the stress of being able to do it. You're going to start to notice that. Car rides are going to be harder. Vacations are going to not be so good. Loud noises, a lot of people, a lot of stimulation you're going to start to notice are going to start to take these. Eating in restaurants, it's so loud in here, I can't hear, I want to just stay home, or they're not bringing the food quick enough, that kind of a thing. And again, if you're like that now, it doesn't mean you have it. Amber is, you're caught in that moment. If someone's talking to you, you can hold a conversation with them at that time. And family members at this point can complete sentences, like I said before. So you're still not really catching on. You're catching on, but it's doable. So if you're shopping, he's shopping. If something else comes into that tunnel, which is hard on men because men aren't multitaskers like women are, and if you find you can't multitask and the family's starting to notice, Amber's when it's going to start to show up, because you're doing one thing at a time. They will say things that are inappropriate that you thought you'd never hear before. They can't stop the speaking what's on their mind. They don't have that filter anymore. That filter is gone. And they are like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, mentally kind of in there because of the fact that they don't have the filter. They say what's on their mind, they say what's the truth, and that's just the way it is. So you're going to find that they're going to be more combative, I guess, and that's not really the right word. They're just going to fight you on things. So you have to decide what's worth a fight. Your husband or your wife took a shower every day, and now they're saying, I don't want to take a shower every day. I don't even want to go in the shower. I'm good for a week. I'm good for 2 weeks. What do I do? So this is where you're going to start to pick your battles of what's a battle and what's not a battle. They don't want to eat good food. We've always eaten our greens. We've always lived on, vegetables, and they don't want the vegetables. They want to eat the chocolates. They want to eat the sweets. They want to eat all of that. And again, if you go back, and it's truly the circle of life, you go back, that's all kids wanted, was finger foods and to be able to eat things that they liked. And it's not so much, it's the fact that your taste buds have changed. You can't taste food like you did. It doesn't taste as good. They want something that's going to taste good. Processed foods is going to be easier because of the fact of chewing meat and steak and eating the chicken and you're cooking it. It's harder. Remember children who you wanted to start to eat the foods and the meats, they don't want to take time in chewing. They just want to eat what is easy to eat and what is good, comfort foods. And that's what they're looking for. And they're eventually going back to what they ate when they were younger. It was comfort foods. They want those foods. A lot of soups seem to be it, a lot of stews. So you just kind of got to pick your battle. Is it worth fighting because you're not eating your broccoli anymore? You know, you've got to have these right meals because you're 80, we got to keep going, or 90, you got to keep these good foods in you. So is it worth the fight? The Ruby is usually when they're 2 years old. It's like a 2-year-old, and they call it the Ruby stage. And this is when people become combative. This is when you become that you can't make decisions for yourself. This is when your family, who are out of town, are going to probably find that there's something not right with you. Because of the fact that your words, we call it salad, but usually you can only get 4 words. And then when you're talking to them about something, and if I go in and I say, how are you? Fine. How was your day yesterday with Jackie? Let's just say they visited. It was fine. She was nice. And then they go off into another rampage about something that makes no sense. And then they come back about Jackie again. And then they're all over the board with all of these different subjects. That movie camera, the old movie projector, if you remember, they were little slides that constantly went with the old movie projector. That's what they're seeing all the time. So if they see a photo of something on the wall, that could trigger something that took them back to their childhood or what's going on. So they can't keep a full conversation. 4 words is usually what we say. The shuffling starts where they can't walk anymore. They're just dragging their feet. I've had families say they're too lazy to pick up their feet. That's not it. They can't. If you remember a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, you're learning how to walk. These people are trying to remember how to walk. So they're shuffling. They're following more. They're yelling. They're combative because they can't say what they want to say. And this is the point where they don't want to sit long enough that they're going to walk around with finger foods, chicken nuggets, hot dogs, chips, cookies, brownie, chocolate candy. My grandmother, all we did was sit and literally just mince. She just wanted mince at all time. They can't sit still. They just have to be on the go because of the fact that their brain is going so fast. They're scared. They're having panic attacks. If you've never had a panic attack, it's horrible. You feel like you have to flight. You've got to get out. You've got to move. So the people that can never sit or lay in bed, it's because they can't lay in bed. They're scared if they go down in bed, they're not getting back up. Or they can't breathe right. So if they sleep better in a recliner, which is usually what happens when they come to us, they're usually sleeping in recliners, they feel safer. They're sitting upright. They're breathing better. They feel like if something happens, they can jump and they can get out quick. And a lot of people at this point do not wear pajamas. They go to sleep in their clothes. They might have their shoes on. That's just where they happen to be. They're scared. They're nervous. And they can't express what they want. They can't express what's coming. We get a lot of people that come in, kids who haven't seen them for a while, or wives, husbands. Do you know me? Do you remember me? The worst question to ask anybody with the dementia disease is to say, do you know who I am, or do you remember me? If they call you mom, their sister's name, their brother's name, an aunt's name, anything, that is such a compliment to you because they know they love you, they know that you're safe, they just can't come up with your name because they're back in the days of when they were little. They don't their mother was very important, or their aunt was very important, or their grandmother, their father. So if they call you mom, take that as a compliment. Don't take it as, oh my, he doesn't know my name. Or, that's a compliment, because they know, they feel safe with you. So we have a lot of people that come out crying because he doesn't remember me. They do. They just can't place you in their time zone, because you weren't born then. You weren't married to him then. You weren't anything. When you hear later stage in the Ruby, I want to go home, and they're in an assisted living home or in a nursing home or where they are, it doesn't necessarily mean they want to go home with you and where they came from. Home is their childhood home, most likely. Or they want to go and be with the Lord. They want to go home. They want to be safe. They want to. So again, don't take it as horrible or terrible. I get a lot of the kids that say they're calling me Jessica. That's his sister. And again, he loved his sister. He's comfortable with you. He just can't place you at that time. That stage can last from a year to 3 months. It all depends on how they transition. In transition, you will see from an amber to a ruby, you'll go to sleep. The next day you wake up, they could be a ruby. It doesn't take, you don't see gradual stages with this disease. You do it from a sapphire to the emerald, but from the amber to a pearl, you don't see the stages go like you do at the beginning. It's almost like if you had children and you put your 12-year-old down, and the next day they wake up a teenager, and the head rolls and the eyes roll, and they're already a different person. That's what you're going to see from an amber to a ruby. This is usually when families cannot handle their loved one anymore because it's too hard. They lash out. If some of the men were in war, sometimes PTSD and things come back, they're in war. They're outside. There's somebody out in the trees. Paranoia starts to set in. Somebody stole my checkbook. Somebody stole my hairbrush. Somebody stole this. It's just you. You put it somewhere that you do not remember where you put it. No one's stealing your stuff. This is where, if you have caregivers that are coming to your house, 24-hour care, some people, this could be a very hard stage to be in when you're having people come to your home, because the poor caregiver is going to get blamed. And then I've got this woman, I don't know who's in my house. Why are you in my house? Why are you eating my food? Why are you cooking? You're cleaning. You're not cleaning the way I clean. So this is where it becomes very difficult. And the wives and the husbands or the family say, we have to go somewhere. And this is the spooky stage for the people who are placing their people somewhere. There's a home, and there is places for everybody. We're all in this together. Sometimes at this part, and especially if you're a type A personality, bigger places will not suit your loved one. It's too much stimulation. You see a group of ladies or men over there eating at a table, and you're walking in the dining room and they start to laugh. Your loved one is going to think they're laughing at you, at them, because they don't know. They're paranoid. They're like, why are you laughing at me? What are you doing? I don't understand. And they're trying to follow everybody to find out what they're supposed to be doing throughout the day or what's going on. So what do? You roam. You go into other people's rooms. You don't remember what room you have. So sometimes you're better off going to a smaller place, and it's not everybody. But you want to make sure if you have somebody that's a ruby, that you're looking for a place that will keep them. Because this stage of ruby can be very hard. Very, very hard. They're lashing out, they're yelling, they're up 24/7, or they get their days and nights mixed up. They're up all night, and they wander, and you're scared they're going to walk out the door. You don't know where they're at. They're eating things. They're putting things places. They have a stack of papers. They have them here. They move them over here. They get all that done. After 4 hours, they get the papers. They move them. They put them somewhere else. They just don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They just don't. So the smaller places can be better. You would be better finding a place that the memory care, which most places have, where everybody is mind-liked, because if you put your ruby with a sapphire who's aging normally, those sapphires are not going to understand the rubies, and it's going to just be fights over fights over fights. So you need a place, and some rubies get very bad. They'll kick you, they'll bite you, so you need to make sure where you put them, they're going to keep them. They're not going to say, this is too much, I can't have them, they need to be moved. And at that point, you just move that person there, which they've already lost a little bit more cognate because they moved from their normal environment, and you put them into another home or assisted living, whatever, and 2 weeks go by and they said, we can't do this. You've got to get her out of here, get him out of here. So you have to move them again, and you're going to lose another little piece of them. And as they feel there's already conspiracy and nobody loves them and their kids are taking all their money and the family's taking everything from them, my husband's cheating on me, I know he's cheating on me, that's why they put me here. All of that comes in, and it's another move. So all I say is due diligence of where you're going to put them. Ask questions. Make sure you know where they are on this thing. Are they an emerald? Are they a normal sapphire? Or what are they? Sapphires, this is a beautiful place to be. Beautiful. But I certainly wouldn't put you in the memory care with people. There's no reason for them to be there. So you just really need to do your due diligence of where you need to be at that time. Rubies, you'll wake up. Again, there's no time frame, and you'll be a beautiful pearl. And you're going to be contracted, and you're not going to eat. You're going to be the true newborn baby, and that's where you're on the process of dying. You're not eating anymore. You're not walking anymore. You're just laying in bed and you're contracted. But you're a beautiful, beautiful pearl. And this is the stage that I really relate to and love. I love being with people at this stage because they will have a cognitive moment every once in a while, and they're thanking you for watching them go through the ruby and the emerald and all the other stages. So the pearl is, they're ready to go. They're ready to pass. And again, there's no time frame. That could be a year. It could be a month. We don't know. We don't know any time frames for any of this. It's just the circle of life. Everybody at this stage, when the family see him as a pearl, they're upset, they're crying, and all they're trying to say is, please let them go. They've understood, and they're just saying, please just let them go at this stage. If your family member has dementia, Alzheimer's, or dementia, doesn't mean you're going to get it. It doesn't mean it. We've had doctors, lawyers, teachers, nurses. We've had homeless. It doesn't hit how much money you make, doesn't hit what your education level is. We've had doctors who are so educated, and the family just can't wrap their arms around what's going on up in their mind. They're so smart. We've got to believe everything they're saying. He wants to stay home, we're going to stay home. And you try to explain to them, would you leave a 5-year-old home alone? Would you do that? He might have a couple sound moments, but, look, he's got 4 sweaters and 2 pairs of pants on and his underwear on his head. They don't remember where everything goes. So you've got to look at it that way. And taking people's cars, usually it's emeralds when you can't let them drive anymore. So if you go through this and you try to understand each stage and understand that sapphire and diamond is the normal aging process. So don't get panic-stricken if you're a diamond. Don't get panic-stricken. And don't get panic-stricken through any as they go through. But if you start to understand and they diagnose you as an amber, you definitely want to have your family and understand where you're going to go to next. And if you can help to make the decision, it's very good. to get your family involved and to let them know and to get the education, because most people don't get educated until you're a Ruby, when they just can't take it anymore. So you kind of want to keep up with what's going on. We get a lot of the Rubies, and Jabert will testify to this. It could be 2 weeks and they pass, and the family's like, they were just dancing yesterday. What dancing was it? Was it dancing, or was it just like, you've got to understand, I know you want them to continue to do what they want to do and to keep them active, and everyone thinks you got to keep them moving, you got to do these word puzzles, you got to do all that. When you're a Ruby and an Amber and you give them a word puzzle, it's spooky. We can put crayons in front of people and they don't know what crayon to pick because they don't want to do it wrong, or they don't remember how to color or stay in the line. You know, there's just things you can't do. My mom loved to play cards. Well, she can't do that now. So sit, hold their hand, talk to them. That is stimulation. Taking them for a little walk around the house, that is stimulation. Too much in a big room with people that aren't at their level is going to cause friction. It's going to cause friction. So you have the pass out. It kind of gives you of what stage, what you can say to them, what you try not to say. When they're in the Ruby, don't fight. And that's the worst part with husbands and wives. You used to look so nice. Look at you. You look terrible. You won't get in the shower. He doesn't know, or she doesn't know. As far as she's concerned, she's warm. And think back when you had kids. Did they want to take a bath at night or a shower? No. They didn't want any part of that. So sponge bathing, just a warm washcloth, is heaven. They're having a fit, is heaven. Just think back of a child and what made your kids feel happy. And I don't mean to sound like that, and that's why Teepa Snow came up with the jewels, because it's easier to say Ruby, because we're all precious, and it's just the different stages. And again, if you can just try, because I feel so bad when people get their loved one into a place and 2 weeks later they're calling us, or they're calling somebody saying they're kicking me out. They don't want it. And my thing is, if you're in memory care and you take dementia, you better take them all the way through, because it's the worst thing is to move somebody. Now, some of them will say, we'll take them, but give them instance. If my mom starts to hit people, are you going to kick her out? And that's the question. And you're going to get, yes, I'm sorry, they can't stay. And they're like kids. They're going to fight. Someone comes into them, or your peripheral vision, you're sitting in a wheelchair and someone comes up behind you, they're just walking by. What's your first instinct? You don't know who that is. You hit. It's not that they wanted to, it's just you startled them. So you need to ask questions.